Hello, welcome to my channel Built by Ben. Today we're going to be tackling the wall hung unit of my media wall build. It's part 5 now. Hope you enjoy it. If you do enjoy what you see on the channel, then don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the bell for notifications of my new videos. Thank you. Okay, so you're joining this on day 3. You can see behind I've copied the tower unit for the other side. It's all starting to take shape now. And now we're going to start dealing with the wall hung part that goes above it all and connects the two tower units together to create the alcove for the telly. So we're going to jump on that right away. Okay, so for this bit we just simply want to take a measurement from tower unit to tower unit to find out what the overall measurement of our wall hung unit is going to be. So the best place to take this measurement is actually down here in the two corners. Because it's all only temporarily fixed at the moment, we don't know whether that might be sitting a little bit out of square. We don't know whether these might be sitting a bit out of square. So the best place, the point that will never move, is this bit here, right at the back of the unit. So we'll take that measurement now. So we've got 2134. We know we want it to be 400 deep, and then the height is simply from that line there to this line here, which we determined a long time ago. Again, if we measure off the top of the tower unit, we know that that top line is going to measure all the way through nicely. We've got 544. When writing down measurements in the trades, it's always good practice to put your width first and your height second. Your depth always comes third. So what I want to try and avoid on this unit is having any double skins of MDF. So if we built this wall hung unit here with two sides on it, you'd end up with this part here that was double thickness, whereas everything else pretty much is single thickness, apart from the carcasses here. But the carcasses will be covered by the doors, so you won't actually see the double thickness. So everything that's going to be visible without the doors being opened is going to be single skin. So what we'll do is we'll actually build a wall hung unit with a top, a bottom, and the partition shelves. We'll keep the ends open for now, and then once we're ready, we'll fix them into these tower units, either using screws to go through here, or pocket screws on top, because you can hide the fixings right on top where no one's ever going to see. So we'll build it that way. So what we'll actually do for this is treat it almost like one of the tower units, but on its side. So the top and the bottom of this wall hung cabinet, we're going to treat as our sides. So you always cut your sides first and then cut your back in between them. So we're going to cut the two 400 by 2134s first, which will create the bottom and the top. And then afterwards we'll work out what the back's got to be and we'll cut that. Whilst we've got the rail together, we're just going to bench another sheet and cut the back piece as well. Okay, so we know we want it to be 544 tall overall, so we need to take the 36mm off for the two skins of MDF. So we've got 5 508 that we need to cut that to. Okay, so we now have the back piece ready as well. So we can take this scrap bit away, take these rails apart, and then we can cut all of our lengths. So on this one we need two really good edges on each side of this. We know that our length is going to be 21 at 34, which we'll just jot down on here. But what we'll do is we'll take 10mm off of one side, just so that we've got a nice clean flush edge. And then we'll measure from there for our 21/34 and take the other side on, because we want that to go into them tower units nice and tidy, so that's the way to do it. Okay, so we've got them three components. We've got the two sides and the back of the unit cut ready. So we're just going to put another full sheet onto the bench so that we've got a nice worktop to build these on. And then we'll have a go at cutting some shelves as well. Okay, so we've got the back of the unit here. Little bit of difference with the wall hung ones. The clips that you put on the back of these are 18mm thick, and they actually screw onto these as well. So we don't want to raise that by 2 pieces of MDF. We want to drop that down to 1 piece of MDF as a spacer underneath. So the new centre of this line here, where we drill the holes, is now lower. We're sitting at 27 to the centre of that now. So what we'll do is show you a different way of marking a long line on here. So just to show you here, we can set this compass to hit our 27mm and then simply just run it all the way along. That's quite helpful if you haven't got a really long ruler or a piece of metal, something straight enough to go that whole length. So you can pick these up for about £10 on Amazon. Brilliant tool. We can then use that compass on the other side as well. Okay, so we can now take the measurements for our shelves. We know that we've got the 508 there, which is the same width that we did the back. And then we've got 364 on that side, 364 as well. So we need 364 by 508. And if I just turn the camera a touch, we're going to have the wall unit up here. We want this line here from that carcass to line all the way through really. Then we're going to have a door here. So we want that line to continue through. And then we've got this carcass line as well. So we want 3 of these partitions to make the whole thing look symmetrical. So a quick tip with shelves and partitions, you're never going to cut everything exactly square. So when it comes to these, the chances of then cutting 3 shelves that fit exactly into the unit that you've made are pretty slim. There's going to be a lot of sanding and a lot of trying to make that come flush. So what I tend to do with all of my shelves is set everything back about 10mm. Now, if it's 10mm on the left hand side and then 8mm on the right hand side, it's never going to be noticed. It's a good way of just taking away all of them little tolerances and making them a lot less obvious. Makes for a much neater job. So we'll cut these just shy of the front of the unit, and we'll do the same with the shelves in the tower unit. So another thing I've got to do at this stage, whilst we've got this rail saw out, is just to cut 3 shelves for the tower units, just whilst we've got the long one connected together. Need to invest in another one of these probably, because the amount of times I take this apart and put it together in a day is ridiculous. So, one for the future. Okay, so we're back onto cutting the partitions for the wall hung unit up the top there. So we're just going to cut 3 of these at 508 off of our 355 strip that we did earlier. Okay, so what we've done here is this is our wall hung unit. We've just plopped it in between the 2 tower units for now, just so that we can use our laser to roughly run these middle lines with the carcasses and transfer them onto here. And then obviously the middle one, where the doors are going to be, will just be the middle of the unit, so we can mark that one once it's on the bench. Okay. So what we're going to do from here, we know that that's the middle of our shelves that we want to put in here. So we want to measure 9mm to one side of that. You can pick any one of your hundreds here to get to that 9mm, because it just makes it a lot easier when you can lay the tape a lot flatter. So if you can see this, I'm sitting on 309, and then I'm just going to mark that at 300. And what that does is it just gives us one side of our MDF that we need to place in there. So we'll draw that line. All the way down the front there. And then what we can do is we can take that measurement from the end, which is 523, and then we can transfer that over to here. 523. We can do the same on that side. And then we'll just grab one of the shelves. Check that it's got no damage. You can just prise these apart a touch. And just slide that down into position. Then we can just knock it around a little bit. Perfect, so it's sitting in there lovely. So then what we can do is just draw a pencil line all the way around, and we need to be doing it on the underside as well. And then we remove the shelf, and what we're going to do is we're just going to drill outwards from here all the way through. And that will just give us our positions on the other side there, so that we can then put the countersink part through. What that avoids is trying to guess, when you get further down the carcass, is trying to guess on the outside where the shelf is, because it can get quite hard sometimes. So this is the best way of doing it that I've found. Okay, so we're just going to go through with a 2mm bit all the way through to the other side. Remember, we don't want to start this one too close to the edge, because this shelf starts 10mm down from the front, so we want to go a decent amount down the carcass. Okay, and now what we can do is put the countersink bit back in the drill and countersink that from the outside in them holes that have just come through, and we know that they're going to line up exactly with the inside of that shelf. So we're just going to tip this on its top, because it's very important when you're putting these shelves in that you screw through the back first, because you want this shelf to pull tight down to the back, because the back really is what you want to stay square. So as long as that shelf is pulled tight down, we know that these will then just pull square with the sides. But if you fix the side first, and say there was a little gap under the back here, under here, then we then know that that's not going to pull square when you screw the back in. So we'll pop this shelf in. Line it up with our marks. Now in my eyes, there's no need to glue shelves, because they're screwed from all three sides. As long as you get an adequate amount of screws in there, I can't see much need for the glue. Because by the time you manage to get any glue in there and you're pushed in a tight shelf, all the glue is going to end up on these front edges anyway, so try to avoid that if you can. Okay, so all we've done there is we've fixed the back, and then we've flipped it back over and we've fixed the two sides as well. Ordinarily I'll do all three at the same time, but for the video I can just show you guys just one. So with an overview, we're just going to create 4 sections in that top unit there, and then we'll hang it back on the wall. Okay, so what I've done for now is just put 2 of the partitions in. I've decided to leave the third one loose at the moment because this is actually quite a nice area in the top here. Might be useful for something a bit bigger to go at the top. So what we'll do is we'll just leave this one loose, and then if need be on the day, we can always just slide it in and screw it in on site. So that's the top one complete. We haven't quite got the brackets yet. They're in the post, so once they're there I'll do a video on how to fit them and how to get that hung on the wall.